Duel of the Ranks? What even is that show? Together again.
Together again.
You know, I'm realizing in this moment that my seat is significantly higher than both of yours.
Yeah.
It's I take any sort of power move I can get these days. This is mine.
You went in the middle today.
I went in the middle, and I'm sitting high. I don't know why. Probably because I have a different chair. Brought it out from somewhere else, and we're back though. We're doing duels.
You guys thought we were dead, but not yet.
We survived.
Some thought we, I was thinking they thought we had just, given up for a while, but no, Amanda thinks that they thought we were dead.
Yeah.
We had died.
I mean, it has been a while.
It
It has been a while. We didn't.
We slept in.
We did sleep in. We did say we were going to do Duel Ranks every month. We just didn't do it last month.
Or the month before that.
Really?
January or February. This is our first podcast of 2025.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is
Yeah.
wonderful. All right. So what we're who's got New Year's resolutions in this group?
Oh, we forgot about those
Yeah.
by now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do have one.
Oh.
It's not like a resolution, but I told
Okay.
myself that I'm going to get rid of 2 pieces of clothing for every new piece of clothing I purchase.
There you
Okay.
go.
So I'm trying to refine and make good choices and less impulse purchases.
I see.
So
I like that.
What about you?
Stand by that. I'd be lying if I told you if I had a New Year's resolution.
to be a better father.
But yeah, to the generics, just be better, optimize.
Be better. Do better. Only you
Nice.
can prevent forest fires.
Yep.
It's true. Mine is kind of like Amanda's. My New Year's resolution is to steal more.
Nice. From larger corporations. Not
Yes.
not the local business.
No, of course not.
Right.
Yeah.
Robin
Support
Hood.
small businesses.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Well,
how about you?
it's going to be fun until you two are gone. There's just Christian and I locked up and doing this show. Yeah, my own goal, probably just to not die this year.
Yeah.
It's just been busy. It's been busy. It's been good. We're
You're doing the goal so far.
yeah, I'm here somehow. But we this is not gonna be it's gonna be something like our audience has heard on repeat, but we're in a random basement right now because
Once
we're,
again.
we're getting an actual studio again. Which
Oh,
is
you're gonna. I thought we were gonna surprise them.
Are we? I do. Who listens to this?
Surprise!
It's a surprise for everyone at this point.
I think they said 3 people went to our website last month, and I know I was one of them, at least one. So yeah, we're talking to ourselves.
The numbers are still there, folks.
The podcast, though, I said 55 people listened to the last episode.
Hey, those 55 people, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you.
We do,
And we care. And that's why we're still sitting here today.
love you.
The viewers.
All
The
for you.
listeners.
All for you.
And because we had to just get together to talk about the masterpiece that is the Skeleton Crew Season 1.
The masterpiece, you think?
Yeah.
Which it's interesting.
Okay.
This is another one of those shows that we're not ranking it right after watching it. We've given it some time.
Mhm.
Yep, we thought
Let it
about it.
settle. And yeah, visiting back. Now that the buzz or hypeflation is over with.
You know, I remember watching, what is it, The Rise of Skywalker,
Mhm.
leaving that theater feeling so good. And it was just like
Yeah.
eating 2 Big Macs, and you're
Yeah.
just feeling awesome for a second.
Yeah.
And then it sits with you and it sucks. And then there's Skeleton Crew, which is like oatmeal from the morning, 8 hours later, didn't feel good before or after.
I love oatmeal.
Cold oatmeal that's like
Mhm.
cement.
Oh.
You like that oatmeal? Yeah. That's
No,
Skeleton
what
Crew.
person
cold
makes
oatmeal.
oatmeal and doesn't eat it right away?
People who like skeleton crew.
I
Yeah.
ate that oatmeal hot, right out the
Yeah.
oven.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait,
Hates oatmeal.
you like,
Yeah.
Brian, what do you classify as oatmeal?
Oatmeal? Oats as a meal? In a meal?
Now you bake
He's just sowing his
Oatmeal
wild
cookies are kind of a meal. They got raisins.
dude, oatmeal.
Ooh, the oatmeal chocolate chip though, can't go wrong.
Oatmeal raisin might be my favorite cookie.
The ones with, you remember the ones with the little dinosaur eggs?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
The dinosaur hatches.
Mm.
Speaking
Oh,
of dinosaurs
I
and
love
dinosaur
those.
people,
So
can we talk about Neil for a second and what a great little guy he was in this show?
Yeah.
Is he the blue boy?
Yes.
Yeah,
I like
the
Yeah, let's talk
Elephant
about
Man.
the characters
I like
of the
Neil.
skeleton
They
Crew.
were so fun.
Brian, why don't you give us a quick rundown of the main characters of our show and and
Okay.
remind us again.
Well, there's a theory that these characters are based on the old Disney ride Captain EO, or it wasn't a ride; it was a movie that they would play at Disneyland called Captain EO, featuring
Wasn't
Michael
that the
Jackson,
Okay, yeah.
directed by Francis Ford Coppola. So the main character, Wim Stocks, I don't know. The theory is that he's going to become Captain EO eventually, the character played by Michael Jackson, and he is kind of this goofy, awkward kid, just kind of bumbling around. He's got impulse control issues because he's just bored and perpetually imagining going on an adventure. He's just like me when I was a kid, if I'm being honest. So this
He's every
show,
kid.
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely made me feel a lot like I did as a kid, just kind of like just like the broom boy at the end of episode 8, like just looking up to the stars, imagining the adventures that can be had out there in the big, wide, beautiful galaxy. So I guess that was my first take that I wanted to get out there, is that Wim is awesome. Neil is like the perfect sidekick, Samwise Gamgee kind of character in Star Wars. Maybe not as on the level of Samwise Gamgee, because he's my favorite literary character of all time. But as for a kid's show, I think Neil shows a lot of great qualities, good virtues that kids can look up to, And then, of course, we have little Han Solo Jr. in not KB. Who's
Fern?
the other one? Fern. In Fern, of course. She dresses like him, acts like him. She's cool, comics like him, but also vulnerable at times. Okay.
And then KB being the coolest one of the characters.
Yeah.
She was cool.
Yeah. Every character goes through different, arcs. They have different challenges and personal things they overcome. They all get a moment with all of the other characters too, which is what I really appreciate about a TV show, as opposed to just getting a movie, is that you get a lot more time to have these unique interactions between all the different characters and see kind of how their plot lines kind of interact and coalesce into what climaxes into an awesome finale with a really tense moment, really, honestly, like much better editing and framing than most of the other Disney era Star Wars TV shows, which I'm glad they took their time with this one. I think it got delayed. They really kept it under wraps. They didn't market it super heavily. They just kind of let the quality speak for itself. And it was fun. Pretty much everyone except Brody that I've talked to or heard from loved this show, or at least enjoyed watching it with their kids.
Did you watch it with your kids, since you guys both have kids?
I didn't put them through that.
Really?
I
I bet you would have loved it a lot more than if you had a little one watching with you.
So I
did not.
had a little one watch one of them with me for part of it, got up and went and did something else with their day. So like I didn't make any. Yeah, this was not a family affair. This was just, hey, I'll sit through it. My wife did try to like watch some of it with me, and she's like, I just don't care. And I'm like, yeah, I don't
engaged.
Yeah, and you know what? The problem I have with this show is it just always goes back to writing. First off, all these characters are just. I do like the little blue boy, the little Samwise Gamgee blue boy. He was nice. Neil, he was great. I liked Neil. Besides Neil, I liked the cyborg girl. She was like, there was some character development there. The other two kids were just like, they reminded me of Finn from
Stranger Things.
From The Force Awakens?
From The Force Awakens, where they just kind of yelled and said things, and were like, especially the one, Captain EO kid, he was always just yelling something or being dumb, turning a lightsaber on the back upside down or whatever. Or
he's a kid. They make mistakes.
Kids are dumb.
Oh, like these kids, they should have been dead for the. Oh my goodness, these kids. Yeah, he's like trying to check into the hotel, and they can't. They don't have the wherewithal to know, like, chill for 2 seconds. And these aren't like 5-year-olds. These are like 12, 13-year-olds. Maybe all the other 12, 13-year-olds are really dumb. I don't think
I was as the 12.
Yeah,
13.
definitely.
All the ones I know.
But like,
I was so insufferable. Think of like all the attention that you want at that age, and you think you know better, and people don't want to listen to you because you're just a stupid kid.
Yeah.
That is the sentiment that I got throughout the whole show,
That's the point
especially
of
in
the
the
show,
beginning with like setting the scene of the kids and their parents, and how their parents are very like. What I really found interesting is that we really get to see like suburbia in Star Wars, which is something that we've never really seen before. It feels like the most realistic, applicable like translation of like our society.
But it worked in Star Wars in the context of this galaxy because of the story.
Did. Yes, and how like all of the parents are like really bought into their jobs, and they don't actually really care about like the
They're just
imagination and
nonsense.
fun of being a kid and stuff like that.
Mm.
And to be fair, like we all know that this story is like kind of ripping off the Goonies. The first DVD I ever owned was Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
One of
So
the
many
best movies
references.
ever. And
So solid.
this film or this
Don't say
show is like that. It's taking
Oh.
this. It's the same storyline as all of these Treasure Planet retellings.
Where was Johnny Resnick?
I know, right?
Yeah,
We
come
still
on.
don't have the banger of "I'm Still Here."
Oh,
Yeah.
Great
so-
song.
Yeah,
I'm gonna listen to that on the car ride home.
I want to listen to it now.
It is interesting. You mentioned, the suburbia and all that. Like, it does work for the show. It was something we'd never seen before. I think after watching it, I don't care to see suburbia in Star Wars ever again.
I
It
want to
was-
see people pay their taxes.
it was just something that was like, it was a realism that we don't. I don't go to Star Wars for something like that. I go for it like for the fantastical elements of it.
Andor.
There's a certain fantastic.
Andor's got a lot of
elements to it.
exceptions to these rules.
But I will say, the characters, like the kids, I thought the actors for the kids did really well, and they played like kids
Mhm.
really well. And this is why I'm curious. Like, it'd be funny to just have a kid on the show to talk about Skeleton Crew if they watched it and what their experience was.
Yeah.
Because as an adult, I found it very boring. I found it very like I couldn't stay interested. I really didn't care what was going on with the characters. I did think Jude Law stole the show or was the most interesting of all. But it's funny, my experience watching the show, because we were planning to rank and review a while ago.
Yep.
So I had it timed. I was going to watch an episode a week leading up to when we did it.
Mhm.
But then as soon as I found out we had to reschedule, I think I had watched 3 episodes. As soon as I found out we were going to push to some later date, I stopped watching the show because
Wow.
I did not care.
Rude.
I wasn't invested. Now, other Star Wars shows, I could see myself like, oh, I'm just going to watch it because like I'm going and I want to see how it's going.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But this show, because of that, my experience, I didn't care to finish it. And then once we set a date, then I timed it again. And I was like, all right, I'll watch these. But even then, I was still,
It didn't catch you
I
in the
was
second
still-
half or anything?
I was still kind of bored. The second half, it was better. Like the 6th episode or whatever, when we started like learning something,
Mhm.
I was like, okay, now we know kind of the reason for all this.
Yeah.
But even then, after the show, I was kind of like, what was the point of all this? Like, I really didn't care about this story or side quest.
Oh, totally. I'm so with it. I do want to at least praise one thing.
Mhm.
The costume design was
Yeah.
just awesome. Like the Mr. Wolf guy, I felt like I
I
really
like-
was
Oh,
watching
yeah.
some 1980s. Like I just saw some like I just saw in my mind like a poster behind
Yeah.
him with the metal gradient and all the stuff. Just Skeleton Crew like that. Look, I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah.
The costumes were cool. I don't know how they did Blue Boy Sam, but
Actually, it was a combination of practical and CGI,
okay.
and live action, like
The
mocap kind
animatronics
of.
and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
liked when they do that.
that's something I wanted to bring up as far as technical aspects of the show, that it brought to life a lot of really great elements. I found out that the volume was used for some parts of it, but to me, I didn't notice it.
It wasn't
So I
as
think it used it
noticeable for
really
me.
well, and it also used matte paintings. It used Tipton Studios did the stop motion animation for the giant crab, and then we had puppeteering for the droids. So I love when Star Wars brings together all of that imagination and like real work that it's rooted in Star Wars.
And
Yeah,
it didn't
I
really rely on the other properties or being connected to the whole Mandoverse. Even it takes place the same year as Mando season 3, but I was expecting a lot more crossover, especially with the Pirates. I was almost kind of hoping for it. Like after a couple episodes, it was like the Pirates aren't really as much of a focus as I thought they would be. Like they kind of pop up in most of the episodes, but I mean the pirate episode of Mandalorian season 3 is my favorite episode of that whole show. It's a golden gem in the middle of a garbage pile of a season, in my opinion. And Skeleton Crew was just such a step up in quality from Acolyte as well. Maybe Acolyte kind of primed me to expect worse, so I was pleasantly surprised that it was actually like competently edited and put together. Like as much as I love things about the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew to me felt like a much more complete show and much more of a Star Wars show than Andor is. Like Andor season 1
Yeah.
at least like could have taken place in the real world and been just as good of a show. I think season 2, speaking of which, is a lot of news and trailers coming out for Andor season 2. It'll be dropping next month. I'm super excited. And it looks like it'll be a lot more connected to the larger context of the galaxy, the lore. Mon Mothma is kind of the window into how these events relate to the saga. So Andor season 2 might, be different. It could be really bad too. Who knows? Like, what is it? Arcane season 2 kind of sucked, honestly, after the first season was a masterpiece as well. So that's, I don't know. But Skeleton Crew, I think, is an overall better Star Wars show because it uses all the elements of the Star Wars universe to its advantage and incorporates them into the plot pretty directly in interesting ways.
I'm glad you brought up Acolyte because, of course, I had to think about this show in context with like the most recent Star Wars things that came out. And Acolyte did have child actors that we also had thoughts about. And I think that these kids were better than the kids in the Acolyte. Not to like pick a fight or anything. People are like, wow, Amanda's
kick her while she's down.
Child actors.
It sucked, though.
But what I really appreciated about Skeleton Crew is what you were saying, Brian, that it takes place without needing any context of you need to know who this character is and that character is, and you have to see like all of this. A family could sit down with their kids and watch it and both like all get it at the same time. And I think Star Wars needs more of that. So I feel like this was the right direction to take content. I think it was sort of filling a good gap that wasn't an animated show like that's too young focused. I'm thinking of like the Young Jedi Adventures.
Yeah, and people slept on Bad Batch too because it's animated.
Like Andor and Ahsoka and even Acolyte are not like really kids shows. So this one's like just so much more digestible and easy to jump into.
Man, this show made me miss Obi-Wan. It made me miss Ahsoka. All this mid-level Star Wars content. This show made me just.
It was an audience change. After watching it, I was like, all right, they're definitely going for a different audience. And I can appreciate, the holisticness of like from beginning to end, more lightheartedness. But I still, I didn't know really. And like my 5-year-old son, we didn't have him watch it. But I would be curious if he did watch it. I mean, I don't know.
Would it capture his attention, authentically?
I mean, I think the story's simple enough, like, and they take you through it step by step. It's not super convoluted and or it's not like nothing happens in the episodes either. But if you're kind of going into it expecting to be disinterested, or you're not bought into the suburbia thing, or you're already kind of, you've already kind of flipped the alarm switch on this. Something about this feels off, which I think there are valid reasons to see why, or to think it feels off. Or if your reason for watching a Star Wars show is to see Jedi and all of these other cool things and the memorable characters and things like that, and maybe that it's just harder to get bought into characters that you can't relate to, and that's understandable. But I was super bought in from episode 1, just wanting to know the mystery of AT-AT.
Yeah, I do think, I don't know, for the mystery that it offered or the ending that it did, I didn't think it was as big enough of a reveal to like make all this patience worth the watch. Like, I don't know, I thought it was just pretty lackluster, like, oh, the supervisor's a big old droid.
The droid thing.
But I really don't have like harsh critiques for it. It's really not like meant to ruffle feathers. It's like a fun, like,
it's pretty safe. Yeah.
I will say the one thing that kind of, I don't know, I thought was annoying was every time they were like leading up to something serious, you knew it was going to be a comedic moment. And like the lightsaber one, where you knew
it is a kid's show
that was going to happen. And after a while, it was like, man, this is exhausting. Or like it gets,
you could predict every beat.
You could predict it all, and it just like, I was like, I'm just move on, But I get why they do it. It's just I'm not the audience for that,
I hear you. I don't know if they really knew their audience. So quarter over quarter, Disney Plus, last I checked, seems to be performing numbers wise worse and worse and worse. I feel like in Disney stocks, Disney itself isn't performing where it needs to be. They did bring Bob Iger back, and there's been a whole slew of changes, even though he's CEO but not chairman of the board. Whatever. That's a lot of business talk. We can keep that out of here. The reality is, from when I checked last time, Disney Plus did not have a single show in the top 10 of all shows streaming, period, last year. Ranked
Last
in
year
the
was a
top
down
10.
year for
Yeah,
Disney
last
Plus
year was
for
certainly
sure.
a down year. More importantly, who really took the L was Amazon with Rings of Power. Just
Woo!
dumb for how much money y'all spent for a trash show.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different podcast. Here, the reality is, and I'm fairly confident this is the reality. Disney, you knew the show was not great. You knew when you made this product and you sat back and looked at it and said, we can't market this. Whatever audience we thought, whatever focus group we put this in front of, they were checking their phones the whole time. You said, this is a complete product. We got to push it out to have something to gain subscribers. But did you see Disney's most recent promotion that's going online right now? How much does it cost? $2.99 a month. That's right. Disney Plus does not cost very much. There isn't anything to be excited about because you know none of your new content.
$2.99?
$2.99.
That's not true, is it?
Go look at it.
With ads?
I don't know. I'm assuming.
I
with
can't
ads.
watch
Yeah.
Star Wars with ads.
But-
I was
Yeah,
I
no.
refuse to be in the middle of Return of the
Go ahead,
Jedi.
internet fact check.
They gave you the quality too now. Like you
So-
can get
some-
like standard.
Someone's gonna fact check me and say it's $2.99 a week, whatever. Even if it was $2.99 a week, I'm gonna go ahead and say $2.99 a month. I
Might
just
be a
wrote the
sign-on
same
bonus or
$2.99.
something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Brian, can you
How
Google
many
that?
credits is that?
Yeah.
Brian, Google it while I'm talking about it if you can. If you can, while
Let me
you're
mute my
doing,
mic,
pretty
'cause
confident
my
it's $2.99 a month.
Laptop is so loud.
So the point being, there's nothing to be excited about with their content, so they got to try to bring you back within. And I know it's within promos because if you're doing well, you don't have value-based pricing. You have value-based content that gets in new people. You don't have that content. You didn't put that content behind your marketing.
Mhm.
Bob Iger did say we're going to scale back. I do believe with Andor, hopefully that'll pump up some more people. But people aren't excited about Andor because they weren't excited about it the first season.
That's
It didn't
true.
gain a ton of viewership, even though it was a great show. So the
Mhm.
fate of Disney Plus, the fate of Star Wars, no, they're going to probably have some really good projects. It's just not now. Skeleton Crew, I believe, is the end of an era of mediocre at best Star Wars content that hopefully we're gonna swing up and start seeing really good stuff maybe once a year, not 8 to 9 okay things every year.
I'll be grateful for once a year. We're still in a better spot than we were before Disney bought Lucasfilm in terms of the quality and
Yep.
quantity. Yeah, I agree that the issue is the private equity being dumped into it, throwing money at the wall. Doesn't mean it's gonna stick. Doesn't mean people are gonna watch. Like the issue with Star Wars is because I think it suffers from its own success. It's always been so ridiculously popular that now that we are oversaturated with it, unless you have those really common, really catchy, memorable things like the overlap between characters, Marvel just kind of conditioned us to expect that now. And I think that's why the viewership fails for good shows, because Andor is the side character of a spin-off show, or the side character of a prequel of a 40-year-old movie at this point.
Yeah.
So like it's just still gonna be tough to sell, and just cranking out content for the sake of cranking out content just to kind of meet a return on investment. I'm glad that it's kind of failed in a way, so that they can refocus on higher quality, lower quantity, and maybe actually make some movies. I think Star Wars just belongs in a theater. That's what's always kind of made movies, made money for them
Skeleton
anyways.
Crew was initially slated and written to be a movie along with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I would.
And
Yeah,
Acolyte,
the
I think.
Skeleton Crew. We say this about most of the shows. Cut it to a movie, like movie length. I think. I don't know. It could be in more.
I
I
actually
disagree.
think that Skeleton Crew ended up being the right choice to
Yeah.
be in TV format compared to like Obi-Wan.
Mm.
I think the
made much
show
better use of the
benefited
format.
from the conversations that you had with the other characters more
Mhm.
that you would probably have to cut for time in a movie.
Mm.
Mhm.
I would have liked it more. Less of them would have been great. Like, look at Goonies. I don't
Mhm.
want, however, 8 hours of Goonies, but in a 2-hour format, that worked.
And there were more kids in Goonies,
Mm-hmm.
and we had
There's a
three or
lot of
four
characters.
kids.
The actual Samwise Gamgee.
I think.
Yeah.
I think when you're confined to the box timeline of a film, you're forced to get more creative as a writer, to just show more and tell less. And I think But this is where I am still curious, like what kids think about Skeleton Crew.
Mhm.
If kids are watching Skeleton Crew,
Just
but
go to TikTok, man. I don't know. Just start looking it up. What is
Yeah.
Gen Alpha saying?
I don't have TikTok. But yeah, I don't know. But there are some things like I will fight to, agree. I liked what's his name, Jod. I liked this idea of pirate with the Force. He can wield a lightsaber ish, and
Yeah, we don't
I
really
like
know.
And he wasn't straight up bad.
yeah.
He was
Morally gray.
and we got enough of a backstory from him through his monologue
Mhm.
that we didn't need to see every beat for beat, like go back in time and
Order
see
66
him.
flashback.
But I like that you could tell that he wanted to do good,
Mhm.
but ultimately he has to play the hand that he's given, and in order to have power he needs money
Yeah.
and influence, and that's how he had to protect himself.
Yeah.
So I like when Star Wars tells these stories of people that are complex and the world around them molded them
Yeah.
to be in this situation. Now I
Mhm.
also want to take some time to talk about the actual lore and environment that got set up in this show, because we got some new elements in it. Specifically, Atten is like a decoy planet of several different similar sounding planets to at Akin and at Batten and at Fatten. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the idea that they can't see the stars in the sky because they're
Mhm.
veiled over this like protective sphere.
Mhm.
They are hidden from the rest of the world, and they don't even really know who they serve. It turns out that actually they're basically being run by AI and algorithms. And I
It's
think
literally
that
real life.
that theme is kind of, it's not like hitting you over the head with
Right.
it in this show, but that makes it so relevant for this time.
Mhm.
And as far as like the parents being so like stupid and like, whoa,
Yeah.
and the kids having to be like, no, we need to be brave.
Mhm.
And like the reality of that, quote unquote. If you look around in society today, adults are pretty stupid. So
Dumbest people I know.
yeah, I think that it continues the line of the youth is the movement of change and forward thinking, and that change happens like from the bottom up. And when you become adults, you sort of like fall into the pattern of going along and just doing your job and showing up and keep making it work. And kids are like, but like, why?
Mhm.
They're like,
Yeah.
how else?
At least Win
Yeah,
is.
Which
Yeah.
I do think that outside of the main cast, which I did like Jude Law's character, the only thing I didn't care for was I didn't really buy him. He was their friend until it was minorly inconvenient, but some minor inconveniences he didn't mind, like
Mhm.
seeing the little boy cry. Oh, okay, I'll go console him now. So it's like it seemed like there was a lot of inconsistencies there, but that regardless, I didn't mind the parents. I thought they were fine. There were some characters I really liked. I liked the extra weird aliens. Like I said, I like the
Mhm.
wolf guy. I liked the owl lady.
Oh yeah.
I like the big slug-looking thing that was in that spa.
Yeah.
That was
Polyps.
yeah.
Whatever his name was.
He was cool. I really enjoyed a lot of those characters, and my favorite character of the show that I did absolutely enjoy when he was on screen was not K2SO, whatever the droid's name was, with the
Smee.
Smee.
It wasn't
SM33.
I was
Yeah.
like, Smee.
yeah.
I laughed out loud at that. A lot of that was
That's a pirate's code, huh?
Yeah, loved his character. Was it who played him?
me.
I don't know.
I'm
feel
gonna find
like
that
it's-
out. By the way, yes, it's $2.99 for 4 months. SM33
Per month for
actor.
4 months, or $2.99 for 4 months?
$2.99 for 4 months. That's Nick Frost played Smee, but yeah, $2.99 for 4 months. I guess it is a sign-on promotion. So go figure. But
It's not
yeah,
worth that much.
I don't think so. I don't know, maybe once. Or you could steal it.
Wild.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
We
you
do not
can.
promote crime on this
Sure.
podcast.
Yeah, you guys are really
Disney's gonna love
Fight the
this.
system.
Disney's on the other side, like we're trying to give it away.
Calculate where they are.
I don't understand. People
They're
won't
gonna
even take it.
demonetize us. Yeah.
No.
No.
Overall, Brian, what did we rate this? It was 65 point something. I know right now
Overall,
it's only
64.55.
it's only above the Acolyte right now. That's the only show it's better than in all Star Wars content that we've reviewed.
I
Well, I'm
agree.
glad I brought it up above what y'all did because I think it deserves a lot better. I would seriously maybe rank this as like the most Star Wars show, at least like as far as being
Oh my
a
goodness.
balance of unique and inspired
And fun.
by a different time. What people remember as a nostalgic area. That's what Episode 4 was. That's what A New Hope was based on. Was the nostalgic movies of the black and white samurai movies and TV from that era. Flash Gordon. Like it's always been that, and I think this was such a perfect blend of unique new things, familiar lore, new lore, and but within a self-contained, and to me, I felt compelling and interesting story with fun, compelling characters. And I'm like, what more could you really want in a Star Wars show?
Yeah, in summary, I wouldn't say like I loved it, but I was charmed by it, and I appreciate the vision, and I would like to see what comes next from that.
I don't.
Okay,
That's-
how about you?
I agree with you. I'm like charmed, endeared by it. Like it was fine. It's
Yeah.
fun, and I appreciate that it didn't try to, I don't know, be provocative.
Yeah,
like,
it
do
wasn't
something-
trying to
Yeah,
do backflips
Yeah, it
or
wasn't
be
trying
too woke or
Yeah.
bring in Luke Skywalker. You know,
Yeah.
like
I think
Yeah.
it realized what it was, maybe. But I personally, I'm fine if there's no season 2. Like I was not really that invested. I didn't care too much about it, but it was like, a charming, endearing show.
I think I would like more shows like centered around storytelling with kids in the Star Wars universe. But recasting the same kids always proves to be a challenge with obviously those growth spurts that they
Unless
get
it's
there.
Stranger
You
Things.
got to make it
It's
fast.
still a problem.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea of an anthology series, or we just keep following Jod around
Yeah.
as he like runs into different
Different kids.
things. Yeah, maybe.
Or an animated show, bring him into season 5 of Rebels.
Ahsoka?
Mm.
So,
Oh, no, that doesn't
give him a
exist.
lightsaber. I
Yeah.
want to see John face to face, like come up to a Jedi, like have
Yeah.
a Jedi get in the way of whatever his objective is,
Sure.
and like just see what that looks like.
Yeah, how his fighting would be so different because he was not bound to like the code or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't really say that he was even trained
Yeah,
with the lightsaber, and he never really uses it, except
Right.
to hit
To
to
threaten
threaten
people.
unarmed
Just enough
people.
to be
Like,
dangerous.
yeah,
yeah,
Just enough
he's
to keep you on your
and
toes, which
to
I
the
think
point-
is true pirate fashion.
yeah,
Yes.
oh, definitely. To the point of his character is that he's chaotic neutral. Like, yeah, his actions seem contradictory. They're trying to keep you on your toes, and he is experiencing inner conflict and kind of going back and forth between the light side and the dark side in this show, which is, of course, very true to the classics, to the fabric of Star Wars. But then I thought it was a good twist, maybe the best used twist, because it's hinted at so much, because it bought me in enough to his character that I wanted him to choose good. But then when he gets to At-Aten and he's like got the treasure at his fingertips, he turns into the cruelest, meanest guy, villain that we've. Maybe not the meanest villain in Star Wars, but like what he says, like is just
yeah. That's a good point because
Burn
the
some
whole
bridges.
time I kept thinking that okay, this character is going to like succumb to the kids being cute, and he's going to start helping them, and his heart will get softer, and he's going to like come around, but he didn't. And I liked that decision. Also, we didn't talk about it, but we all know that I love it when people actually die. And there was real death in this, and that made me excited because it's a kid's show and the consequences were real.
Yeah.
you got serious.
And because like think of, A New Hope has Baru and whatever like burnt,
Yeah.
and that's a kid's show.
That's a
Torch.
skeleton.
So I want to see, yeah. So I like that there was still the high level of consequences in the way that the pirates like destroyed the city and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I like that part.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it
And-
did it well, and like it knew it was a kids show, but it was like we're gonna kill these people off
Just
screen
a few
with
people.
some acid.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like the Chekhov's gun, like the very literal Chekhov's gun they set up in, I think, the 3rd episode, which was my least favorite episode of the show. That was what I almost bought out at that point. I will admit that was, I think, the weakest part of the show. was like they were building up to this interesting conflict or something, and then that just kind of never went anywhere. Jon just walks through the smoke, and apparently he's already killed everybody. So I know they did that so you're supposed to question his morality, but I was expecting them to at least go back and address what happened, or maybe incorporate that into the twist of his character, or like that's how they find out that he's a sketchy dude at some point. But I did like that every episode was, or mostly every episode was on a very unique planet, different location. It kept it fresh. And every episode was just long enough, in my opinion, just long enough to keep you engaged and to tell a full story within that culture, within that community, civilization, or whatever, wherever they're at.
Yeah, I mean,
That about sums it up.
That's all we got. That awkward silence means no one here has anything else to say. So that is Duel of the Ranks. We still have a website, dueloftheranks.com. So while it's up, you can go check it out. I know there's only one of you that's actually doing that, so I guess go keep checking it out. While it's around, I know we're going to put more into a Discord. That's going to be some more fun, so you're going to be on the lookout for that. And yeah, next month we'll be somewhere else. So, but be here with us wherever we are.
Where we talk about Andor.
Oh, is that going to be out by then?
Beginnings of Andor. So it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good time. You're not going to want to miss it. But that is this month's episode, this quarter's episode of Duel of the Ranks. It's been a lot of fun. Be sure to subscribe. The folks that do, we really appreciate you doing it and following us on this journey. It's a lot of fun. We are coming up towards the end of all Star Wars content that's ever been released. So we should have a big, big party when that's done. Because really, it's just Clone Wars, and that's about most of the big stuff. So that's going to be Duel of the Ranks. We're going to be caught up. And so thank you for being on this journey with us. And yeah, with that, we'll see you next time. Bye. I'm a producer, so I actually got to get out of this seat and turn it off.
Bye.
See you next time.
and action.